Okay, so I'm going to talk to you about the psychological mindfuck that is the post-dieting phase. So most people will realise that dieting itself is difficult, especially if you're pushing yourself to be as lean as possible and really pushing the boundaries of how lean you are getting. But a lot of people, new competitors specifically, don't realise how difficult the post-dieting phase can be. So generally speaking, I'll address this to physique models, bodybuilders, etc. We know that bodybuilders and weightlifters, if I'm going to umbrella term it, are perhaps more inclined to suffer from body dysmorphia, eating disorders such as bulimia, use of laxatives for weight control, fear of becoming fat, obsession over their weight, psychological distress leading up to competitions, etc. Now, interestingly, within the research is, if it's observational research, i.e. doing surveys, if you're comparing two populations with a survey, you can't necessarily draw the cause from that. So, for example, if bodybuilders show more signs of things like eating disorders compared to general population, is that bodybuilding that has caused it? Or are these factors that those people had already, these traits that they had already, and that is why potentially they chose bodybuilding as their sport? So you can't it's a kind of chicken and egg scenario. You can't necessarily say one caused the other, but it's interesting to think about. So either way, whichever caused which, we know that as a population, bodybuilders and weightlifters are more inclined to suffer from psychological issues such as body dysmorphia and eating disorders. Now, once you take that population and get them doing very, very extreme diets, going through weight loss phases, weight rebound phases, weight loss phases, weight rebound phases, i.e. they're on season, off season, you can understand psychologically how difficult this might be for a lot of people. And nowadays there are so many federations popping up, fitness modelling federations, bodybuilding federations. It seems like more and more people in the UK anyway, I'm not sure about the rest of the world, more and more people are competing. And it's very easy for someone to be like, fuck it, I'm in good shape, why don't I diet for a show, why not? But they don't necessarily understand how difficult the post-diet phase is. They know that dieting itself is likely to be difficult, but the post-dieting phase is often the bit that a lot of people just don't necessarily think about. So this is the bit that I'm going to talk about. Now, imagine that you have a bodybuilding show in 4 months. You have 16 weeks from now. Your diet begins now. So over time, as that diet becomes more and more difficult, as your body fat gets lower and lower and lower, right up at the competition, you are likely to be suffering from the highest your appetite has ever been, potentially the lowest your sex drive has ever been, the lowest your energy has likely to have been, etc. Now, once you factor all those in and you have your contest or your photo shoot there and then, people are often so hungry, so tired, so irritable that they are more inclined to binge eat. A lot of competitors, you can actually ask what their cheat meal will be weeks in advance before their contest day, and they will already know it because this is something they've been thinking about for so long. Now, when times get difficult during your dieting phase, the thing that often drags you through is the fact that you have that date in your mind and it's set in your mind. The closer you get to competition, the more all-encompassing it is. It's all you're thinking about. All of your eating is kind of taken care of. You're thinking about that. Your training program you're thinking about all the time. And as you're getting more and more tired, it requires more and more mental energy. So knowing that you have that date there is often what drags you through. Shit gets difficult, but you know that you only have 3 weeks or whatever until your photo shoot or your contest. And having that deadline is the thing that often gets you through because there is no wiggle room on that. Yes, it's hard, but in 3 weeks' time you're stepping on stage. And that is the thing that helps people push for it. But they get to that point where they are feeling the worst that they can feel. They step on stage. Then the day after, all of the goals, all of the things they've been pushing for have disappeared. So they're in a state of feeling fucking ravenous, fucking tired, fucking irritable, but they don't have that goal that's keeping them on track anymore, which is one of the reasons, or a contributing factor, why some people will find themselves really, really, really binge eating after a contest, because they're feeling terrible, they'll want to regain weight, but also there isn't necessarily any reason why they can't. before the competition, the fact that the competition is there is what minimises binge eating at least. But once the competition's been and gone, if they want to binge eat, they can binge eat because they don't have another competition coming up. And this is the thing that a lot of people don't necessarily factor in, because what you're combining is the worst that you're likely to feel because you're that lean, but also mentally everything that has been taking over your thought process for the last 4 months has vanished, which is the thing that a lot of people find difficult, because once that goal vanishes, it's harder to keep yourself on track. It's harder to regulate your eating when you're feeling really, really hungry. Now, one of the other things that people find difficult is they're at their lowest body fat. This is not a level of body fat that is encouraged to maintain. They would feel terrible trying to maintain this for the rest of the year. So the off-season period gives them a chance to gain lean body mass, perhaps work on weak points, normalise hormonal function, normalise the way they're feeling, like energy levels, etc. This comes with an increase in body fat. You know that if you are absolutely shredded on contest day, your body fat is going to have to go up afterwards. It's inevitable. But despite the fact it's inevitable and encouraged, psychologically this is the thing that a lot of people will find difficult, myself included. And think of it like this: you have spent the last 4 months watching yourself get leaner and leaner and leaner and leaner and leaner. And over that time, probably in this day and age of social media, you'll have posted more and more photos because you're looking in the best shape you've ever been. Photos of you on stage, photos of you posing, photos of your progress shots or whatever it is. And then what you're doing is watching yourself lose that conditioning. And whilst it's inevitable, it can be very, very difficult psychologically to let go of and just think, you know what, this has to happen. Now, the practical advice from this is very, very difficult because everyone is different. So I know some people who will finish a contest, they will gradually increase their eating, their body fat will go up, they will start feeling better, their training's getting better, and they don't care. They know it's part of the process, not a problem. Yet there are a lot of people, myself included, that will find that the objective side of it isn't in the forefront of your mind like it should be, and subjectively you get too caught up on how you're looking there and then. People trying to maintain that level of body fat for longer than necessary because they hate the fact that they're watching themselves get fatter. And basically what I think that people potentially should do is, rather than having that kind of emptiness in their head when they finish a competition, all their goals disappear, is perhaps bring in some mini goals. Some people might find they just want the period to relax. They might not want to think about what they're doing next. They might just want to chill out, and that's fine. Other people, like myself, will find it beneficial to bring in some kind of interim goals to help keep yourself focused. So, for example, you might set yourself some strength goals or performance goals. You might set some muscle size goals or training goals based around weak points or whatever it is. But these little goals can be just enough to keep you relatively focused with your training, rather than going from 100% massive fucking focus to zero focus, eat all the food. So, whilst I don't think that there is an absolute dead set recommendation on how you should handle it, the purpose of this video is just to explain how bad it can be for some people, and just for you to be aware of it so you can kind of plan accordingly, understand what to expect, and maybe think about how best to handle it for yourself. So that's it. I hope it's been interesting. If you've got any questions or comments, please feel free to ask. My Facebook page is facebook.com/Ben Carpenter Personal Training. My Twitter and Instagram page is both BDC Carpenter. And thank you for watching. Bye.